After leaving Leavenworth, we spot Daroga State Park on the map, a potential camp spot. To get there, we cross over to the east side of the Columbia and proceed upstream. Daroga is an oasis of green surrounded by the desert terrain of the Columbia River Basin. We were able to secure a nice campsite in this park, situated right on the Columbia River. Another peaceful night in central Washington. Interestingly, on the other side of the river stands Ribbon Cliff. This site experienced a violent earthquake back in December of 1872. The earthquake's size, based on historical accounts, is estimated at magnitude 6.8. The shock split the mountain, forming the cliff to the west and causing a huge rock slide which stopped the flow of the Columbia River for several hours. We'll be following the Columbia River for a good stretch. We'll stop in at Chelan, continue to Brewster, where we'll finally leave US Highway 97, and head east along a series of state roads. We'll make a final stop along the Columbia near the Grand Coulee Dam.
Leaving Daroga State Park on the Columbia River and heading to Grand Coulee Dam, and we're going to stay there.
The itinerary for our 2022 Campervan Tour of the West has been dictated as much by the weather conditions as it has been by the list of places we wanted to visit. The long-range forecast calls for a mix of clouds and sunshine with the potential for stormy weather when we head east and back into the mountains. We continue north along the eastern side of the Columbia and cross back over the river at Chelan Falls and head into the town of Chelan itself. Chelan is located on the extreme eastern tip of the lake. This 50-mile-long glacier-fed lake is simply stunning, likely the most popular freshwater lake in all of Washington. On we go further up the Columbia River. The Columbia River is the largest river in the Pacific Northwest. The river starts in the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia. It flows northwest and then south into Washington, turns west separating Washington and Oregon. So far, we've traveled from the mouth of the Columbia to this point in combining our 2021 adventures with this trip. So we have traveled a good chunk of the river's 1,243 miles. There are many dams that have been built on the Columbia for electric power, navigation, irrigation, and flood control. 14 dams have been built on the Columbia itself, and many more on its tributaries. All these dams produce more than 44% of total U.S. hydroelectric generation. The installation of dams dramatically altered the landscape and ecosystem of the river. At one time, the Columbia was one of the top salmon-producing rivers in the world. Fish ladders have been installed at some dam sites to help the fish journey to spawning waters. Later on, we will see Chief Joseph Dam on our route today. Unfortunately, it has no fish ladders and completely blocks fish migration to the upper half of the Columbia River system. Just before we reach Brewster, we stop in for a lunch break in the town of Potrero. We parked next to the town hall, located on a nice park overlooking the Columbia. Wandering into the town hall for more information, we discover a museum inside. Originally known as Ives Landing, the town was established around 1896 by its founder Lee Ives. In 1900, Charles Nosler, a Spanish-American War veteran, purchased most of the town. He renamed it Potrero after a village he had known in the Philippines. In 2009, Potrero received a grant to retrofit the old Potrero Fire Hall at the Potrero City Hall. This took the old fire hall from basically a garage to a modern, energy-efficient museum. At one time, the City Hall housed the fire department, municipal court, and the police department, all within its walls.
That's a cool diorama.
Fort Okanogan. Yep. The largest displays were donated to the city by the Douglas County Public Utility Department and were rebuilt by the city employees. Long hours of volunteer time from several local pioneer families also helped to make the dream a reality. Photo opportunity. Don't miss this chance to be seen in jail. When the museum was built, it maintained the jail cells in their original state, even offering a photo opportunity to those interested. Let me out. Let me out. I want my lawyer. Potrero has quite a history. On Thursday, July 17th, 2014, the entire Potrero Volunteer Fire Department was battling a wildfire in remote French Creek, fed by 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, 100-degree temperatures, and very dry terrain. 4 separate wildfires that were started by lightning strikes merged into a single fire stretching north from Potrero to Winthrop. This wildfire would be known as the Carlton Complex, the largest fire the state of Washington has ever seen. Everybody assumed Potrero was safe, protected by a 158-acre orchard that would serve as a fire break. They were wrong. By 6 p.m., the electricity would go out, and the town would be left in the dark. After racing through the orchard, the fire swept through the town. The Potrero firefighters did what they could, but were quickly overwhelmed. Around dusk, the city's hydrants went dry. The results for Potrero were catastrophic. Much of Potrero was destroyed by the wildfire. No injuries or fatalities were reported, but at least 95 homes in the area were reported destroyed.
A dog enjoying a ride in the back of the truck. Beautiful horses. We're out in the west.
Our next stop is the town of Brewster, where the Columbia bends toward the east. In Brewster, we say goodbye to U.S. Highway 97 as we had planned. We continue to follow the Columbia River Valley, taking Washington State Highway 17 east, over expansive prairie and landscape reminiscent of the Oregon outback we traveled through a few weeks back. we are definitely on a road less traveled. The scenery is beautiful. Raw but peaceful landscape surrounds us. North Central Washington is quite the road trip experience. We continue east on Washington State Highway 174. At this point, we are some 540 miles upriver from the mouth of the Columbia.
He's got an RV. Everybody's got an RV out here. At least one, maybe two.
As we approach the Grand Coulee Dam, we make our way to Crown Point State Park. There we find an expansive cliffside view of the Columbia and the Grand Coulee Dam. Construction of the dam took 9 years and was completed in 1942. Behind the dam lies Lake Roosevelt. This lake extends 151 miles upstream into Canada. Lake Roosevelt has a 600-mile shoreline. We're stopping for the night at Spring Canyon Campground, located along the south shore of the lake.
Lake Roosevelt National Recreation Area?
I forgot the name of that. There it is.
On our way down to camp, we get a great look at Lake Roosevelt. The magnificent mountain backdrop in the distance frames the lake beautifully. There are several walking trails that take you down to the lakeshore, where we find a sandy beach for swimming and a bathhouse. Doesn't look like it's open yet, probably too early in the season. Despite the overcast skies, we stroll about, enjoying the scenery. We are greeted the following morning to a brighter day, partly sunny skies with sections of blue sky. It's much nicer to break camp in this kind of weather before we head on down the road.
Beautiful sunny day so far. It's supposed to get cloudy, they said, but now we go a bit north pretty soon, and then we go east.
Our final stop for this episode is also our last stop in the state of Washington. We decide to make it a 2-day stay at the beautiful Little Diamond Lake KOA campground.
Here we are, in bear country.
For us, this extra rest day gives us a chance to relax and remind us of what we need to do more of. That is, enjoy our destinations and just have some fun.
fresh off the fire.
Nothing better. It is hot.
Ain't long enough.
I'm just going to stand. I don't want to have the problem of having to get up.
They're going to catch on fire. They're already black. Is that the way you like them?
Yeah. They're still burning. I'll blow the smoke off.
We had a very relaxing campfire dinner, complete with roasted marshmallows. And the next day, we took a long hike. The weather was perfect, with sunshine and puffy white clouds to brighten the day.
Leaving the KOA near Little Diamond Lake and heading out up to, I forgot already, Sand Point, Idaho. Hi, Chippy. Was that the one standing at attention at our campsite? It was a long drive back into this place. It's like off the beaten track.
We'll be going through the town of Newport, right on the Washington-Idaho border, and on to new towns and new territory. More adventures on these roads less traveled. See you in the next episode